Hey everybody, it's me Stacey here at Scrapbooking Made Simple, scrapbookingmadesimple.com, and welcome to today's Saturday with Stacey, YouTube class number 598, counting down to 600 Saturday with Stacey YouTube classes. Who would have ever, honestly, who would have ever? When I think about how long it takes to get to 600 YouTube classes, I'm thinking, man, I've been doing this for a while. Holy smokes, artichokes, girl. Now today I have got a wonderful class for you. It is full length, it is commercial free, and it is technique based. I packed this class full. Like to the brim, like to the brim. There is so much going on, but I wanted to share it all with you and I couldn't cut any of it out. Nope, my class, my rules. So I have got brand new product. Well, I don't want to say brand new product from Sizzix. It's new product from Sizzix. It's part of my release from Sizzix. As a licensed designer, I had a February collection come out. It was supposed to be January and March, but it got morphed into February. So part one of my February collection was my dimensional diffuser, the dimensional diffuser plates, the 3D embossing folders, and the matching 4-layer stencils to go with those 3D embossing folders. That was part one of my collection. Then part two launched. So this product has been out there globally for a few weeks, absolutely, for a few weeks. But today I get to play with it. And being the designer of it, I knew what I wanted to do with it. In fact, two of the sets today are considered new technology for Sizzix. Now, what does that mean, new technology? Well, like an embossing folder is considered technology. Dies are considered technology. Stamps are considered technology. That's the term they use for them. So what I came up with was something they had never done before, ever. Now, Sizzix has been around since like 1977. So to come up with something they had never done before, I was pretty happy with myself, to be honest with you. It was a little bit like that. To explain to them how my thought process was and how this was going to have to be manufactured literally took diagrams. I mean, like each individual component, and then arrows pointing this way, and then an arrow pointing that way, an explanation, and then an arrow pointing this way, because it took them a little while to wrap their head around what I was trying to accomplish. But once they got it, holy smokes, artichokes, they got it. That was so great. So I have got part two of my Sizzix Stacey collection for you today. I'm not going to be featuring all of it. I'm not going to be able to work with all of it. I've picked 4 SKUs, 4 sets that I really want to focus on. And that's where we're going to go. And 2 of those sets are that new technology that I'm talking about. And then the other 2 sets are Fanciful framelits in reverse. And you're like, Stacey, I already have Fanciful framelits. You launched a bunch of them in 2024. Oh, I know I did. But at the time I designed the 2024s, I also designed the 2025 dies. I had a plan. All the way back in 2023, I knew what I needed for 2025. Crazy. But when I did the Fanciful framelits, I knew there would have to be Fanciful framelits in reverse. And you will see why. If you have the Fanciful framelits in ovals or rectangles, you are going to want the reverse sets, because now everything absolutely layers into each other, mats up to each other. Unbelievable. So I picked those 4 sets today, but that's not all I'm doing. Oh no, we're going to be inking, we're going to be die cutting, we're going to be embossing with squishy and a knock. I've got some stuff that I was playing with in the studio with Stacey classes. You see, I do 4 classes a week. What was I thinking? I'm not 100% sure. I started with one class and then I thought, oh, I can do 2 classes. And then I thought, well, 3 wouldn't be so bad. And then about a little over a year ago, I thought, I can do 4 classes a week. Oh my gosh. So I do Saturday with Stacey. Hey, we're live chatting right over here if you're watching me during the premiere. On Mondays, I do Make It Monday, which is where we bring you a one bundle that has a value of between $80 and $100, sometimes more, for just $19.99. Tuesday is in the studio with Stacey, where I pull in some Sizzix products, and I've got beautiful fine art product from Royal Talons, and we have paper crafting and fine art collide and make magic. And then Thursday, I have New For You Thursdays, where we bring you the latest and greatest from your favorite manufacturers. So we're busy here. It's so good to see you. And we live chat during all of them during the premiere. So today it's 8 a.m. sunny California time, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, and 4 p.m. in the United Kingdom. If you see a live chat going on over there on your desktop or laptop, say hey. Or maybe if you're on a different device, the live chat could be below you. Now, once we get started, I can't stop. Too much to do, too much to show you, too much to share with you. So once I tilt down, away we go. And you may want to take note of this YouTube. You may want to jot it down someplace. I'll do my pause face. That way you can get a piece of paper and a pencil and write down, ooh, I wanted, this is the YouTube I want to make sure I keep so I can go back and reference it. And I try to do a pause face. That way I don't blink, and that way it doesn't look like, like I'm not all there. Okay, there we go, pause face. Okay, you're back. You got your pen, your pencil and paper. Now you also, should we be lucky enough that you place an order with Scrapbooking Made Simple, also in the comment section, there's a little place, a comment section as you're checking out. You can type in YouTube number 598. And when we print your packing slip, well, hello, it's right there on the packing slip. Yay! So, lots of ways to keep track of the YouTube classes, and there's something new in each and every class, and they all feature something a little different. The Saturdays are really about a teachable moment. The Mondays are bringing you value like you have never seen. Wait till you see this Monday's. Oh my gosh. Tuesday is mixing fine art and paper crafting, and Thursday is sharing the newest releases from manufacturers with you. Now, before I tilt on down, I have winner chicken dinner to talk about. Every week we give away 2 prizes, 2 gift cards to Scrapbooking Made Simple. And how we determine the value of those gift cards is how many likes the video gets. Now, we haven't gotten to 1,250 likes yet. When we do, the value will go to $125. Today our value is $100, and I've got 2 lucky ladies who have won a $100 gift card to Scrapbooking Made Simple. It is in their online account right now for them to spend any way they want, at any time they want. Very exciting. Now, how do you get a chance to be a winner chicken dinner? Live chats do not count. You need to post a comment on the video. You post your comment, you click like, and then you go into the running to be a winner chicken dinner. We have random software select 2 people every week, and you never know when I'm going to call your name. And holy smokes, maybe they're on the live chat with us. Wouldn't that be so exciting? Okay, our first winner is Connie. Connie Tracy. Congratulations, Connie Tracy, and thank you for having a name that I can pronounce. You are a winner chicken dinner here at Scrapbooking Made Simple. Oh my goodness. Are you so excited, Connie? Are you like, ah? Are you standing up? Are you already doing winner chicken dinner dance? Maybe. But you're not alone. We always have 2. Deborah Lemarbre. Deborah? Hello, Deborah Lemarbre. Are you on live chat right now? You might be. Congratulations, you 2 are a winner chicken dinner of $100. $100. 100.00 to spend on anything that makes your heart happy. You and Connie, I think it's probably going to take you longer to figure out what you want to spend that gift card on than sometimes spending gift cards. It's like you're more thoughtful with it. It's like, ooh, what do I want? What do I want? I still have my cough. But both of you girls, I hope you enjoy your winnings and really find something that makes your heart happy, something that you would not buy for yourself normally. Splurge. You got $100, right? So, Connie and Deborah, congratulations to the two of you. You don't have to do anything to claim your prize. You do have to do the winner, winner, chicken dinner dance. It's a rule, so ladies, sit up. Nice posture. And then we go, you're a winner, chicken dinner. You're a winner, chicken dinner. Wahoo, catch-you, for you. Double time. You're a winner, chicken dinner. You're a winner, chicken dinner. Wahoo, catch-you, for you. It's late. It's very late. I've worked an entire week. I've worked about 60, almost 70 hours this week. So I double timed it. Now, people who don't get me have turned off. That's okay. I get it. It's all right. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I've been called a lot of things, but extra is definitely one of them. And I suppose that's actually kind of nice. So, ladies, congratulations. If you want a chance to be a winner, winner, chicken dinner, comment below and hit like. Super important. That's how you get your chance. Now, today I have got a busy class, a lot. Nothing is hard. Nothing is hard. Nothing is difficult. Nothing is out of the realm of what you already do, perhaps in your crafting makes. If you're new, have no fear. We are here. All of us in the live chat, all of the SMS peeps are here to help you and to answer your questions and to guide you and to share with you. So be a member of our community. It is one of the nicest chats out there on YouTube. No question about it. All right, I'm going to tilt on down. We're going to get started for today. I've got just a few samples I want to show you, and then we are going to dive in. Let's go down, up. Okay, so I think I'm good. All right, so first things first, here's my hello card. There's my 3D rose that we're going to make, but most importantly, this is the new technology I was telling you about. So how did I get that hello and I sanded it on Reveals paper? How did I do that? Well, I also have this card, which has no embossing, just the word hello die cut 3 times. So it looks amazing. But how did we do this? Let me show you. We are going to be playing with all of this today. Now, to start with, I do have all of the second half of my release. I have all of it here for you, and we do have an I Want It All, but you can order just 1 or 2, or you may have already bought these, purchased these from your local independent retailer or online already. This is the first time we're launching them at Scrapbooking Made Simple, and you may want to grab them and do this while we're doing it together. We can craft together. The bundle has 8 different sets in it. It retails for $184.92. We have it for $137.99. And what it comes with is the Hello set, which we are going to be working with today. the Thanks set that we are going to be working with today. And see, here's my logo. I'm Stacey. Hey, this is Sizzix. I'm a licensed designer. We're going to be working with Renee's Fanciful Framelits in reverse. We're going to be working with Claire's Classic Ovals in reverse. And then I have Belle of the Ball, which is a beautiful, beautiful die. I've got gorgeous samples to show you. And then the 4 layering stencil that will give you an abstract rose, yet when you put the die right over the top of it, it defines it out. These two can work together or independently of each other. Love this. This one makes my heart so happy. So we've got Rainy Day Feeling here. And this is a creative coordination set. It is a set that has dies, it has stamps, it has sentiments, and it allows you to make different well, you can use like these are just little blobs. The stamps to get the trees, they're actually little splats. So many ways to use this set. And then I have Drip, Drip, Drop. This makes my heart happy. It really does. Drip, Drip, Drop. And it is a A5 stamp set, big stamp set, and then a 2-layer stencil so that you can ink your stamp. Now you can use the 2-layer stencils. It's already included. It's packaged in there. You can use the 2-layer stencils all by themselves. You can use the stamp all by themselves, or you can pair them together. So the part 2 of my collection has Drip, Drip, Drop. It has Rainy Day Feeling. It has Belle of the Ball die. It has Belle of the Ball 4-layer stencil. It has my Fanciful Framelit ovals in reverse, my Fanciful Framelit rectangles in reverse. We're calling these Take Twos. So my Take Twos in Thanks and my Take Twos in Hello. And I think that might be where we start, is with the Take Twos. Or maybe we start with the Fanciful Framelits in reverse. Yeah, maybe that's where we start. Okay, so this is the original set that I did last year, 2024's Fanciful Framelits. And Fanciful Framelits are different than anybody else's dies out there because I've designed them where the embossing feature is not built into the main die. Typically, if you have an embossing element in a die, it is built into the die. So if you had a stitched or a dotted edge, every die would have the stitched or the dotted edge, and you can't get rid of it. It's part of the die. When I designed these, I did a die, then I did an embossing feature, then a die, then an embossing feature, all the way down. So if you just want a plain oval, you can cut a plain oval. Or if you want to add an embossing element to something, you can add an embossing element to something, or you can use them together. I could cut an oval here and grab an embossing detail here. The idea is that you have options. I'm all about options. I've been saying you have options for a long time, and I wanted to reinforce that in my designs. When I bring you a product, I want it to sing, I want it to dance, I want it to whistle, I want it to cook dinner. I want that product to do so much that you feel you got your money's worth. Super important to me. So this is last year's set. This is this year's set. And it is in reverse. And you're like, I don't understand what you mean by in reverse. Well, with last year's set, we started with a die, and then we went with an embossing folder, then die, then embossing, not embossing folder, embossing element. The in reverse, we start with an embossing element, and then a die, and then an embossing element, and then a die, and then an embossing element. And what that means to you, let me grab a piece of my Stacey Park 110-pound cardstock. What that means to you is that if you have both sets, if I take die number 1 from last year's set and die number 1 from this year's set, Oh, looky, looky. And then I take embossed element from this year's set, and then embossed element from last year's set. Oh, looky, looky. And then I do my next die, and then I do my next die, and I do my next embossing, and then I grab the embossing over here. Do you see how they all nest into each other? Then my next frame, then my next frame, then my next embossing, then my next embossing, then my next frame, then my next frame, then my next embossing, and then my next embossing, and finally my last frame and my last embossing. Everything nests and coordinates together if you have both sets, right? If you have both. My ovals, my Claire's Classic ovals in reverse, will nest and mat into my original ovals. When I designed these in 2023 to launch in 2024, I also designed these in 2023, knowing that they would wait until 2025 to come out. These were the first, and then in 2025, we are bringing out the reverse. And now look at what you get between the two sets, which means you can mix and match between them. Now, question. The embossed element on my first set is different than the embossed element on my second set, which means every other die has this is 2025 set, so it's got, let's pull this up. So 2 different designs. Each year has their own design, which again means you can mix and you can match. It really, I just love how it all falls together. And we did the same thing for my rectangles. I've got 2024's Renee's rectangles and 2025 Renee's rectangles in reverse with a different embossed element. And again, they are going to nest into each other perfectly. So you can mix and match and you get an entire set. An entire set. So I think we're gonna play with these first. And I think I'm gonna put them back where they belong. So it's 1, and then 2, and then this one, 1, 2, and then this one is gonna fit right in here in between. And then this one. Is gonna go here, and then this one's gonna go here, and then this one's gonna go there, and then this one's gonna go there, and just separate them out. this one goes there. And then that one. And then this one. And then that one. And just put them back so I can play with them. And then here. And then there. And then here. And then there. And then here. And then there. Okay, so I put them back together. And really what I could have done and should have done is I probably just should have put these right on my gotcha tool. It's probably what I should have done, is just put it right on my gotcha tool. So this is my gotcha tool, and that's what it does. It holds all your dies. Bam. Right on your making space. So actually I think I will leave it there since I'm going to be using those. And we're going to start with the ovals. And I'm going to take the biggest oval that comes with this set, and it is an embossing oval. So there's no die to cut this large oval out. But I could take my die next size down anyway and do an inside. And so I'm going to emboss this one. We're going to start with an embossing feature. And I think I'll do 2 of them. So let's grab a piece of paper. I'm going to grab here. And I'm going to grab here. So let's use some teal and let's use some purple. And all I'm going to do is emboss this die. So let's cut me off a little piece. Oh, I can cut that later. And let's cut a piece of my teal. Now I am using Reveals paper. If you've never seen Reveals paper, it is by Sizzix. This is the original jewel tone colors. These are the colors that I picked. It comes in the A4 size, but it also comes in the A6, and we'll be using some of that today. And what makes Reveals paper super special is that when you sand it or you tear it, it tears to a lighter shade of the main color. This is not a solid core. Solid core would be my black, which is, sorry, it's 110 pound. It's black all the way through. Solid core paper means the color is all the way through. White core paper means that when you sand it, it sands to white. In almost any double-sided printed paper by every manufacturer is white core paper. So whether it be Graphic 45 or 49 in Market or I don't know, Doodlebug, if it's printed on both sides, pattern on both sides, if you sand it, it will sand to white because that paper started as white. This is Reveals, and it is color core, not solid core, not white core, where if you tear it or sand it, it's going to sand or tear to a shade lighter than the color that you see. So I'm going to be working with my largest oval, and then I think we'll do the rectangle as well. We'll do both of them. I'm going to bring over my Big Shot machine. Hello, Big Shot machine. And I am going to need a squishy and a knock-knock, which is really, gosh, do they call it a transfer pad, a transfer set? So we call it a squishy and a knock-knock. And, well, self-explanatory. This squishes and this knock-knocks. Now, years ago, these were both black. And there's also a crease pad that was black. So I had a crease pad about this size, a squishy, and a knock-knock. All 3 things were about the same size and they were all black. And that's how the names came to be. I needed to be able to explain to you what it was. Since they were all black, I couldn't say the white one and the gray one. So I would do this and say, okay, this is the squishy one, remember, and I would do this, and this is the knock-knock one, if you can do that, because the crease pad is a thud pad. It kind of goes thud, 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 not knock-knock. So that's how the names came to be. And you use them when you are going to be embossing a die, not an embossing folder. You don't need these or use these with an embossing folder. It allows you to take a die and use an embossing element with it. And all of my Fanciful framelits have embossing elements built in. So how do we do this? It's super simple. You take your knock-knock and you put it right down on your base plate. Then you take your squishy and you put your squishy right down on your base plate. Then you take your paper, and this is where it's important. This is a textured side, this is not. If I want my embossed element to be on the textured side, I just flip it over. And then I take my die with that embossed element. There's no cut edge anywhere on this die. It's not gonna cut out, it's going to emboss in. And decide where I want it to be. I think that looks pretty good. And then either a do not cut plate or a cut plate. It makes no difference. You just need to be able to go over the top of it. And then you send it on through. Now, how do you know if you're doing it right? The squishy, that silicone pad, is going to get compressed underneath the roller. And as it's being compressed down and forcing that embossing, it's going to grow. It's going to get longer and longer and longer. Now it's almost to the edge of my base plate where it wasn't before. So there, and then I can go back if I want. Bring it out. Now if I want the debossed side, I can leave it like this and there's a debossed side. But if I flip it over, I've got an embossed side. And you're like, I don't see it, Stacey. I don't see that embossed side at all. All right, let's do it one more time on the purple. And then we'll sand. So my base platform from Sizzix comes with your Big Shot machine. My knock-knock plate. So this is actually an impression plate. Then my silicone plate, and these are sold together. They retail for like $15.99. We'll have them on sale, but they're sold as a unit. These are 2 peas in a pod. You use these together. If you're using this one by itself, why aren't you using this one if you're trying to emboss a die? This, if you're using it by itself, why don't you have this one? They're 2 peas in a pod. So my base platform, my knock-knock, my squishy, my paper with the side I want to see on my finished project facing down. And I like the textured side. You could do it either way. It's up to you. If you like the smooth side, then you'd have the smooth side facing down. I like the textured side. And let's roll. And again, just a cut plate or a do not cut plate. And how do you know you've got it right? Because that squishy, which is starting here, my squishy is right there. All of a sudden now is almost to the size of my paper sticking out. The squishy is coming out the back side. That's how you remember. You want your squishy, now it's even longer, to come out the back side. So some people like to write this sandwich down. It's probably the one sandwich that gets utilized the least, but it gives you, there's so much to be done with a squishy and a knock-knock. You can take any die and make it into an embossing element. Any die, and it looks amazing. But you need that squishy and that knock-knock. So then I take it off. I've got a deboss side and an emboss side. Let's put this back on and let's sand. So I've got my sanding blocks here. These are by Sizzix. You get 2 sanding blocks per package. So there's 2 of these in there. And why are these so special? Because when we developed the Reveals paper, we also developed, and I say we, I mean me and Sizzix. I had a help in this, I had a hand in this. We made sure that the blocks were not, the sanding was the right grit for paper. Going out and grabbing what's in the garage, maybe in a tool chest, you know, you go out and you find some sanding paper out in the garage, the grit, you don't want it to tear through your paper. You also don't want to be sanding forever and ever. If you have a 600 grit sanding block, well, that's not going to ever take the paper off. It's going to make it baby smooth, but you're never going to see what's underneath it. So Sizzix, we at Sizzix, we developed the sanding blocks so that it would work perfectly with paper, and that's what really it's meant to do. Now you give a little bit of a sand. And you can see that embossed detail starting to come up. Now that's different than the original set. There's the original set. And yet they will work together. You can mix and match. So let's finish them. Sand, sand, sand. Okay, that looks good. And the way to clean your blocks, it's like cleaning erasers when you were in school. You just kind of smack them together to clean your blocks. So I've got this one done. Looks pretty good to me. Now let's do the purple. And look at the difference between with the sanding, without the sanding. Without. It adds that extra dimension, that extra detail without adding any bulk to anything. It's just the paper. Okay. So I've got these 2 ready to go. Let's grab the largest embossing element from my Renee's Rectangles in Reverse. And again, the detail is different than what the originals were. What color do I want to do? We'll do a lime green. Maybe a yellow. Oh, I've got a yellow already cut here. Okay, that's great. So I'm going to do a lime green and a yellow, only I'm going to use the rectangle. So we're going to do a wash, rinse, and repeat. Myself a piece. And cut myself a piece. Bring over my machine, and this die has no cutting edge, so it's only going to add that detail into my paper. I've got my base platform, my knock knock, my squishy, my paper, face down. The side that I want to see on my finished project is the side that goes face down. My die, and a cut plate right over the top. And then I send it on through. My squishy's now coming way out the back end. That's perfect. That's what I want to see. Bing, bang, boom. One done. We'll sand it in just a minute. Let's do my other. And let's send it all the way through. Oh, look at the squishy really coming out the back end. All right. Put that on my gotcha tool. And let's sand. So look at the difference. Sanding versus not. The Reveals paper is what really, between that and my Fanciful Framelits, if you don't have sandable paper, you're not gonna get this look. And this isn't white. It's a lighter color of this yellow. That means it's not as bright and as stark. Look at how pretty. Now I could take the next die that comes with it and I could put it in the center and I could make a window. What a great shaker. Hello, and it's got that added detail on it. Absolutely. It is all about options with Fanciful Framelits. They are not just a nesting die. They're not like anybody else's nesting dies, because you can choose to have just a rectangle or a rectangle with an embossed detail. And now you've got two embossed details to choose from. All right, let's do the green. Again, a lighter shade of my green. And you can see that detail. So, we've done the new oval and the new rectangle. I'm going to put these aside for just a minute. And I'm going to bring out the die that fits inside. So let's grab here. And let's grab here. Okay, I'm gonna cut both of these out of white paper. So I need 4 of them. I need 2 ovals and 2 rectangles. So I'm gonna grab, again, this is my Stacey Park paper. It is 110 pound. There's 25 sheets. It is $9.99, and we do it in the white, we do it in the black, and we do it in ivory. Again, 25 sheets, 110 pounds. Smooth, no texture, smooth. I like it because it's smooth, and I probably looked at over 40 different types of paper before I selected that one because it had to be just right. Now I'm gonna grab some of my white, and I'm gonna do these. Do I wanna do them one at a time? Do I wanna do an embossing detail to them? I think maybe I'll take the next detail down. Then we'll do, oh, that's what I'll do. Hello. I think I'm gonna do an embossing detail on white. So I started with this embossing detail, and now I'm going to go to the next size down because sandwiched in between the two is the die cut, is the actual die. So I'm going to use this embossing detail, and we're going to do it twice. So we're going to do a wash, rinse, and repeat of what we just did. I'm going to do 2 ovals and 2 rectangles. So let's bring it on over. As long as we've got it here, we might as well use it. Base plate, knock knock, squishy, white paper. Doesn't matter which side is up and which side is down. It's white cardstock, smooth on both sides, 110 pound. Die with the embossing feature down, and then send it on through. Roll, 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 roll. Back, 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 back. Now this time, ooh, you know what, I'll do both of them and then we'll come back. We are on a main street here in Canyon Country, California, and gosh, I don't know if you heard that motorcycle, but I always get so nervous. So same thing, I'm gonna do the same thing and emboss this one as well. This time though, we're gonna use the debossed side and not the embossed side. So now that I've got the 2 ovals done, I'm gonna leave the oval inside. I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna leave it on my paper. And my oval is done in purple, and my oval is done in teal. I'm gonna grab some of my ink. Now there's an embossing detail under here, and if the die falls out, that's okay. All you have to do is kind of move it around until it clicks back in. Oh, there we go. It'll kind of click itself back into place. There we go. I'm going to take a little bit of my purple ink, my Jacquard Premium Dye-Based ink, and hold my dye into place. And I'm going to come around and edge it. Now you may want to tape your dye into place. I'm a girl who flies by the seat of her pants because it does click into place. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So now I'm using my dye as a stencil, as a mask, because it's masked off that perfectly white oval that has a debossed element going on. Let me wipe that off and let's do it in the teal. Just wipe the ink right off the dye. Let's move over to the teal. So I'm going to have to click it back into place. There we go. And grab my teal. It's my teal deal, my Jacquard Premium Dye-Based inks. They're water reactive. They are highly saturated. Highly saturated. They stay wet long enough for you to use embossing powder with them. We don't have 84 colors because one ink pad will let you desaturate so that you have from the darkest hue to the lightest in that tone. I don't think you should have to have 84 different ink pads. Okay, I think that's good. So now I've got two that look kind of the same. Now what I mean by the ink not needing to have a jillion colors, I mean I could have done teal deal with a darker color on top, another pad, and then a lighter one to go below so that they all mix and match and you can blend them. I just thought that it, you know, if you can have one ink pad that is so beautifully saturated that you can get that deep of a color, but you can also take it and have a gradation of color with one ink pad. To me, that just felt like a savings. If you can have, and you can even go lighter than this, but if you can do all of that with one, well, that's a value. Less storage space, less everything. Okay, so I have done these two to go here. Let's get another piece of white paper and I'm gonna grab the next embossing detail for the rectangle, and let's do that on white. I'll need to do 2 of them. And let's bring it over. Wash, rinse, and repeat. That's all we're doing is wash, rinse, and repeat. Anybody see what I did with my cutting plate? Okay. Oh, it is at the bottom. Were you yelling at me? It's at the bottom, Stacey. It's at the bottom. All right, let's send it on through. And bring it on back. Now for ease of use, it is easier if you ink it right after you get it out. So I've got my spaghetti squash here. That wasn't a great job inking right there. But we're going to make it work. Okay, done in the yellow. Wipe it off. So now I'm die cutting, I'm masking, I'm embossing. This is just one die set. But it slices, it dices, it almost does the dishes. Squishy coming out the back end. And green was the other color, right? So this is Zesty Lime. Now, these are dye-based, and there are lots of dye-based inks out there. There really are. No 2 dye-based inks are exactly the same. Everybody has formulated theirs a little bit differently to do what it is they want it to do. Or their delivery method is different. Mine are on felt pad, which is stronger, more durable, lasts longer, and it delivers the ink differently. There are some on foam pads, which work beautifully, and it delivers the ink differently. That on a foam pad, it delivers it almost like a complete, you get a solid, if I was to push it down, you'd have a solid image of that pad. The ink is, it comes out so much out of that foam pad. Whereas a felt pad, the delivery is different. So the formulations are different, the colors are different, the delivery methods are different. And when you're looking for ink, you want to find an ink that does, the majority does as much as you want it to do. Maybe you don't want it to be water soluble. Well, then you're going to look for inks that are not water soluble. Maybe that's really important to you. Maybe you want to be able to move them with water and to do splats and faux watercoloring with them. Maybe you want an ink that has a a very solid image when you stamp. It stamps down. That's going to be something with a foam top. Maybe you're looking for something that is highly blendable or not blendable at all. Or maybe you want an ink that doesn't, you want to be able to use it with your alcohol ink markers. That's a waterproof ink. You got to figure out what it is that you're looking for in your inks. And sometimes you may have a little bit from everybody. I will tell you, all dye-based inks will play well with each other. Whether you take my Zesty Lime and you mix it with a Tim Holtz Distress ink, or you mix it with a Memento ink, they all will play well together. It just depends upon what techniques you want to be able to do with them. So there's my Zesty Lime. And I'm going to wipe this down so I don't forget. And get not that it hurts the dye, it's just that I'll forget about it and I'll do something with it and I'll transfer that Zesty Lime onto some kind of white paper. All right, now we need to die cut. So we've done this and this, and these two go with that. We've done these two here, and these two go with that. Now I need to die cut, and I'm going to die cut my white paper. So let's grab that rectangle. And I'm going to die cut out. So all of this outside is going to go away. That means we're going to have to change our sandwich on our Big Shot machine. So we're not going to be using the squishy and the knock knock anymore because I'm not trying to emboss anything. We're going to be die cutting, which means my base platform, my solo shim or my A shim, my cut plate, my paper. I don't know what got on this. My paper, my die. And then pending if I want to, I can either tape it down, maybe a little bit of maker's tape. So I've got some Sizzix maker's tape. Up to me whether I want to tape it down or fly by the seat of my pants. And then my do not cut plate over the top, and let's send it on through. So this is an open frame die. It's not intricate at all. It should cut on our first go round, and it does. Now this is going to fit right there. Let's do our Zesty Lime. All right, let's give it a whirl. Now that debossed image on that white paper, it's not bold. It's not like, hey, look at me. It's very, very subtle, but it carries through the same edge that I have here. It just carries that design element through. Bing, bang, boom. Bing, bang, boom. There we go. So I've got those two done. Now let's grab my oval. right around the outside. I've got that debossed edge inside that's going to carry through that same edge that I've put here. Little bit of maker's tape. And let's send it on through. There's my element. And then I need my purple. Now you could trim these up and use these as apertures on something completely different. I mean, I could trim this up, put this down. Oh, Stacey, you think too much sometimes. Okay. Oh. I'm just thinking we could do one more. Okay. And let's send it on through. Now we have used Fanciful Framelits in many different ways. And now that both sets, the two sets of ovals, the two sets of rectangles nest into each other, that's a whole nother reason to have them. I pulled the other ones out of the garbage just in case I decide to do something with it. So I'm here. I've got my embossed detail. I've got my debossed detail. I've got I used my die as a mask and I edged in. Here. Here. And there. So these are the four we're playing with. Now it's time to change technology, as Sizzix says. We're going to step away from the Fanciful Framelits and we're going to move into the Take-Twos. So this is new for Sizzix. They've never done anything quite like it. And they're called Take-Twos because you get the word hello well, actually many different ways, but there are two dies in here that say hello and two dies that say thanks. This is where the thought process became a little whoo. So when you look at the dies, you've got one here that says thanks, and it has no cutting edge around it at all. You have one here that says thanks, and it does have a cutting edge around it. And then you've got this open frame die that kind of bubble letters the word thanks. And then we've included big thanks, thanks a lot, thanks a bunch, thanks so much, thanks a million. So you've got all the little extras to finish it out. But these are the two dies we're gonna play with first. So I've got the one that's got the die that has got the cut lines all the way around it, and the die that doesn't have the cut lines all the way around it, and the bubble. So when you lay these out, they're backwards. One is backwards, one you're able to read. When we die cut them, we typically flip them over so that the die can cut. And now again, they're backwards. You've got one that you can read. This one. You can read this one, thanks, but you can't read this one. It's backwards. You know it says thanks. At least in my camera, it's backwards. You know it says thanks, but it's in the wrong direction. And then you have this frame die. Fits this one perfectly, right? Looks great. Doesn't fit this one at all. Doesn't fit this one at all. Fits this one perfectly. Maybe this one's not backwards. Maybe that's the one that's not backwards to you. Doesn't fit this at all. How do these work? Let's start with the die that just cuts. Let's just cut it, and let's do it out of the, we'll do it out of the teal. So all I'm going to do is die cut. I've got the die with ridges on it. I've got my base platform. I've got my solo shim or my A shim, my cut plate, and my die. Now I don't need to tape it down because I am literally going to cut this out of the paper. Put my do not cut plate on and send it through. Now it's a pretty simple die to cut. I don't know that you won't need a precision base plate. I don't even know if you really need to rotate it. You can if you want. My guess is that it's already cut and I don't need to even send it back, but just for good measure. And there's my word, thanks. All die cut out. All die cut out. I wonder if it's better on the, maybe we'll do it on the green and the yellow. Maybe I'll die cut it out of the green and the yellow and use the hello for the purple. But let's hold on to it. We're not going to get rid of it. So I'm going to die cut again, only I'm going to do it out of the yellow and the purple. So I know I've got a piece of purple here. And a piece of yellow here. No, it's green, Stacey. Green. Green and yellow. So this cuts like any other word from Sizzix. Any other word, just like it, nothing different. They would call this a, not a framelit, a thinlet. Bing, bang, boom. Cuts out beautifully. Easy peasy, mac and cheesy. And we have thanks. Okay, let's cut it out of, now I could keep this too. Let's cut it out of the yellow. And there's my word, thanks, out of the yellow. Now I could take the bubble, what looks like a bubble die, looks like bubble letters. This is a framelit. That means if I cut this, it's going to give me a shadow. So let's grab some black, just because that will be super easy for you to see. My gotcha tool is holding literally everything. Crazy, right? This is an amazing little tool. If you don't have a gotcha tool, well, you might need more than one if somebody who works in their garage, if a spouse sees this and they are like into woodworking, or gosh, if you do jewelry, if you have a friend that does jewelry, sewing, this holds everything. The gotcha tool is really wonderful. It finds your dies for you if you drop them. So let's cut. And let's do thanks in the bubble. So I have, and again, all I'm doing is basic die cutting. Nothing special or different than what we do on a regular basis. There's my thanks. I can put my die right on top, and it makes that perfect little frame all the way around it. Okay, let's do one more because I have it in the green. So now I have it for my green things, which is going to fit right there. Now I also have hello, but before we get to hello, I'm going to take the other die that doesn't have any cut lines anywhere on it, completely different than this one. This thanks is narrower and it's got those edges all the way around it. You can feel the edges, you can feel the cut line. This, nothing. You're like, but how do you use it? Why would you use it? This is where the take two or twofers come in. This is an embossing die. It's not meant to cut, it's meant to emboss. And it's meant to emboss with your reveals paper. So, I did the yellow and the green. So we have been die cutting and embossing. Let's grab this paper here. And let's bring back my squishy and my knock-knock. So remember, it was base platform, it was my knock-knock, it was my squishy. And remember, the paper I want to see on my finished project, I put down, face down. Now, if I take my die and I put it on, it reads backwards. It's supposed to read backwards. See, to me that looks forward, but to you it might be backwards. It reads backwards. I'm going to put my top plate on it, and I'm going to send it on through. Now, when I pull the die off, it reads thanks. But remember, the paper I want to see on my finished project is underneath, which means when I turn my die over, it now reads thanks in the correct direction. And it is super embossed. Look at that, super embossed. So one of the dies needed to be a regular die that you can just die cut out and use the word thanks. The other die is an embossing die. Therefore, you have two. Take twos. You have two ways to use the word thanks. Now let me do the yellow. So I die cut out the word thanks here. Here I'm gonna, paper I wanna see face down, my die face down, and for me it's reading backwards. It's on my squishy, it's on my knock-knock, put my top plate over, send it through. So it's this way, and typically it would pull out and you'd have the word thanks. But instead, it's embossed in. Now this is sandable paper, which means I can then take my sanding block and I have now used my die just like an embossing folder. I could cut this out and use it just like this on my card somewhere or on a layout. But remember that bubble die? Now that my word thanks is in the right direction, that bubble die fits around this as well. So for the embossing die, this bubble die that says thanks, it's going to let me cut it out. For the actual die that cuts thanks, that bubble die will do your shadow. Take twos. It took a while to explain my thought process, but I wanted an embossing die, not an embossing folder, an embossing die that allowed you to then cut it out or to leave it in. Didn't want a folder. I wanted you to have options, and giving you the die that actually says thanks and the shadow along with the embossing die and the die that will cut it out. This die does dual duty for either the embossing element or the die cut. So when I cut this, now I'm going back. I'm going back to my, don't have to emboss anymore. And does it flatten it? It's not a 3D embossing folder, so it's not gonna flatten it to the point where you're going to notice by any stretch of the imagination. I'm gonna go back to die cutting because that's what I'm doing now. I'm die cutting. I wanna cut this word thanks out. I didn't tape it down. Creaks and cracks are perfect. That's exactly what you want. Don't be afraid if you hear some creaks and cracks going on with your die cutting machine. And now I've got the word thanks with a little bit of a yellow border all the way around to act as that layering element. So here we did thanks with the die, but here we did thanks with the embossing element. It's a take two. You get both of them. You don't have to choose. You have options. So remember, I already did it with the green. There's my thanks in the green. If I wanted a little bit brighter, I sand it a little bit more and take off a little bit more of that darker green. Then I take my bubble die right around it. I think I moved it. And you're like, just tape it down. What fun would that be? Handmade is made from the heart, so if it's a little off, well, so am I. Creaks and cracks are okay. So now I have the thanks, die cut, or I have the thanks embossed. All right, so I'm gonna put these together. No, we're gonna do the hello first. So the hello I need in the purple and I need in the teal. So the hello is going to work exactly the same way. You have one die that's going to cut the word hello out. You have one frame die that's going to add a backdrop to that. And you have one embossing die. So let's cut my die out. Base platform, solo or A-shim cut plate, my hello with the ridges against my purple, and my hello bubble on the black. We'll cut them together and send it on through. Bing, bang, boom. So hello. Right there. And then same thing out of my teal. I know I had my teal here somewhere. There it is. I don't have to tape them down because I'm cutting it out of the paper. Creaks and cracks are great. As long as your machine is letting you roll, you just roll, roll, roll. So now I've got my hello. That will go right there. But now we can emboss. So bring back my purple. I no longer need the hello die that has the ridges, the cut lines. I need the hello die that doesn't have any cut lines. And because we're not die cutting it, we're embossing it, I need my squishy and my knock knock. You guys are gonna get so good using a squishy and a knock knock. It's probably one of the most underutilized tools and one of the most affordable tools Sizzix sells for everything that you are able to do with it. Truly, it is. I I love my squishy and my knock knock. I can't imagine my crafting without it. Now, remember, the paper that I want to see on my finished project goes face down. My die goes face down, and should read backwards. If you can read it and it says hello and it's your embossing die, you've got to flip it over because your embossing feature is backwards. And then my cut plate. And there's my hello. Do it with my teal. Paper I want to see on my finished project face down. My die, which should read backwards to me. Top plate, so my base plate, my knock knock, my squishy, my paper, my die, my embossing die, and my do not cut plate, and then send it on through. Squishy's gonna come out the back end. I love embossed detail, but it doesn't always have to be an embossing folder. Ooh, that's gonna be by a hair of a chinny chin chin that I get that die cut out. And then I take my sanding. And like magic, I have hello. It just sands right up. And then my purple. So is it an embossing folder? No. Is it a die? Yes. Is it a die that cuts out? No. So easy. And then we take our bubble die because we embossed them this way backwards, but then we flipped them over and amazingly you can now read them, which means the die that works with the hello that die cuts out, that creates the shadow for it, is the same die you're going to use if you want to die cut your hello out. You may not want to. You may just want to trim it on down and mat it and put it on something. You don't have to die cut it out if you don't want to, but it is me. And me wanted to give you as many options as I could in a single set. And knew what they call technology, something different. Sizzix has never done anything like this before. So one hello. I moved that one big time. And again, my gotcha tool is still holding all of my dies so I don't lose them. All right, now we can put some of this together because then we need to move on. So then it becomes, so do we do, that looks good, that on that. And I think on this one, instead of doing the hello die cut, I think we will use the embossing feature. So I'm gonna grab, let's see if I can get them out. I'm gonna grab some sticky dots. So sticky dots are a Scrapbooking Made Simple product. There are 10 sheets in here. They're micro dots. There's hundreds of thousands of little micro dots on each sheet. They are meant for intricate dies, sticking things down easy peasy. Some people have called these like the best thing since sliced bread because now you are not trying to glue your intricate die down. When you peel it back, there's hundreds of thousands of micro dots on one side and a liner on the other. Now, if you're concerned about dots transferring onto the top of your project, you pull a little bit of the liner back and you just wipe any sticky dots that might have transferred onto the liner. During the pressure and heat, they can transfer a little bit. That's it. There's just a few of them on there. Then I can put this back down. Now I'm gonna take my hello and I'm gonna put it down. And I'm gonna give a good press. And anywhere that paper is, those sticky dots are adhering. And then up we go. I can grab my shadow, and sticky dots are repositionable until they're not. So I have the opportunity to put this down and move it a little bit if I need to, reposition it. But at some point, they stop being repositionable and they become permanent. That's how fast it was, and there's no liquid glue. Then I can put this whole thing down and give a good press. And pull it up. And now bring over. And right there. It's that fast and it's that easy. Now for the back of it, I'll use Stacey tape. So I'll use some of my double-sided adhesive. And I'm gonna put that right in the center. Remember when we embossed this all that time ago? Okay, we're getting there. And then for the purple one, so I still have this hello to play with. I don't want to lose these. So sticky dots. Now anywhere there's no paper, the sticky dots are going to remain behind. So take twos. We have hello and we have thanks so far. And I believe that all of these dies are considered a one and done. So I don't know that they'll be rerun. Okay. So hello, hello. Let's do thanks. And I think I will do it that way. So sticky dots. Let's get my die cut down. Now you may be looking at these and going, Stacey, what were you thinking? Well, I was thinking. I do remember the first time I tried to explain the concept. I do remember looks coming back at me like, huh? But once they understood, once everybody at Ellison was like, ah. Look at that. Bing, bang, boom. No glue required. And then let's do the whole thing. We have done so much technique, but we're not done yet. Remember, I've got that debossed edge in here in the white, so it mimics what we've sanded to carry that detail all the way through. I know you would use a trimmer. For those of you who are new, I freehand. And I just go for it. And then let's get this one down. So how do we feel so far? Are we like, oh my gosh, okay, yeah, I really do need to write this YouTube number down? Have you ever seen dies like this before? Please say no, because I had never seen them before. And coming up with innovation is hard. To be unique and different and individual, and what do they say? They don't, you know, they don't want to have me too product. Like, oh yes, me too, I'll do that, I have it. Everybody else is doing this, so we should do it too. Sizzix likes to be inventive and creative and innovative and thoughtful and exciting. And that's where their products become, oh my gosh, I am so happy with this. I am. Let me just tell you how happy I am about it. But we're not done. Move this a little closer to me just so I can get it. Because I know I'm gonna need it. All right. Okay. Now just for good measure, I'm going to mat these really quick. And then we move on. And we put all our dies away and all our Take Two embossing elements away, and our Fanciful framelits that also, when they came out, were revolutionary. Nobody had done anything like that. And see, these are staples. These are foundation items. These are things that are not theme specific, gender specific, color specific. My Fanciful framelits and my Take Twos are meant to be something that you have in your crafty arsenal forever and can use anytime you want. Okay, one. Oh, I cut it the wrong way. I always do that. Stacey, it's a good thing. It's a good thing I have my own paper, because if I didn't, I would be really upset with myself right now. Well, I am a little upset with myself, so I need to cut it. I need to cut it this way. So I save on paper. I should have been able to get both of these out of one sheet. Oh. Then again, it is midnight. Literally, it is midnight. I work a full day and then I film. I work a full day and then I film. That's still bad. We're gonna have to make this a thinner. Matte So I didn't line it up very well. So the bottom is really tight, which means that I need to make it look uniform, I'm going to have to keep this mat all the way around really thin. So 1, 2, 3. The last one I have to do on black. And is this going to be too small? Oh yeah, too small. Now, you'd all think we'd be done because that was a full class just on its own, but I wanted to add a little bit more to these, just a little touch of embellishment. So if you watch my In the Studio with Stacey classes on Tuesday, every month I pick a different product from Royal Talons, and for the entire month of the classes, all the Tuesdays in that month, I use that same product again and again, teaching you, yes, I am right, teaching you about it and showing you different ways of using it. So for January, I did Ecoline markers. Love Ecoline markers. And in February, I did Amsterdam acrylic paints. And in March, I did Van Gogh watercolor. And this past Tuesday, I paired Van Gogh watercolor with paper clay and molds. Molds by Katie Sue. Great, look at that. Fabulous. So I've got hello. And oh, I didn't do my thanks in the black. No wonder why I had so much black still. But look at that, one piece and I got both of them out of it. So I used molds from Katie Sue, silicone molds, and paper clay, and Van Gogh watercolor. And I'm gonna do a little bit of that just to add a little bit to this. Now, In the Studio with Stacey is where we take fine art product from Royal Talons and Jacquard, and we pair them with paper crafting products from everybody, including Sizzix. Leave this mat a little bit wider. Anyway, I've got mats of all different widths. The In the Studio with Stacey are interesting because I try to give you the history behind products and how they came to be and why you would want to use them, and most importantly, how to use them. And I think that if you're going to invest in any kind of crafting product, it should really give you multiple ways of using it if it can. I mean, adhesive is adhesive, right? But if I can give you a die that can do this and this for the same price, well, yay. You don't have to buy a die that just does this and a die that just does this. You get it all together. And if I can give you a set of nesting dies that not only has the die, but the embossed detail that you can use on its own or with the die, and then add another set on top of it so that now everything mixes and matches, that's just giving you more to create with and making your dollar go further. And for as long as I have been teaching, as long as I've been doing these YouTubes, that we've always been about making crafting affordable, keeping crafting affordable. Okay, so here are my 4. I'm gonna put them to the side, and now we're gonna play with the molds. So I brought in molds from Katie Sue. They're silicone. They're amazing. I brought in just a few cute little dad like, so you've got the screwdriver and the hammer and the triangle and the wrench and the drill and the ladder. Look at how cute are they, right? And then I had to bring in this one because it was just so stinking cute. The sewing and the thimble and the thread and the scissors. Isn't that just darling? But the ones I fell most in love with. Now, KDC usually sells these for fondant and gum paste to make decorations for your cakes or your cupcakes. I had to have the butterflies. I had to have them. And the roses. Now you can use them. They're completely food safe. But we're going to craft with them. And the leaves. The leaves are insane. So good. Now, what do you use to craft with these? Well, we have two things. We either have the modeling material from Prima, or we have Hardy Soft. Both of these are kind of like a paper clay. They're an air dry clay. It dries reasonably quickly. I mean, you can do them and then in about 15, 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, you're able to start painting on top of them. Now, how long does it take them to fully dry? Well, this is a very deep flower. This is going to take much longer than the thin butterflies or the leaves. However, you can start painting with them within 15, 20, 25 minutes. Then you leave them be and they'll dry overnight. Obviously the smallest one's gonna dry much faster. How do you use these? Well, you have two options. Like I said, you have the Prima, which comes in a 2-pack, $7.99, I think, for the 2-pack, or you have the Hardy Soft. The Hardy Soft, once you open it, you are going to need to find a airtight, just get a Tupperware, a nice Tupperware, wrap it in some saran wrap or aluminum foil, Reynolds wrap, and then put it in a Tupperware because it will eventually, just the edges will start to dry out. There is a difference between the two of them. The Hardy Soft is pure white, where the Prima is more of a crew color. The Prima has a texture more like a Play-Doh or perhaps a chocolate chip cookie dough. It's a little more dense. The Hardy Soft feels like, it just feels like a cloud. It's super light, super soft, not heavy at all. This is going to dry a little heavier. This is going to dry lighter. They both work, they both do the job, and they're easy to use. Now, the molds, we found that they come out, everything comes out pretty simple, but Katie Sue recommends a little bit of Crisco. Like, yeah, you're gonna go bake your pie crust Crisco, and you don't use a lot. Really, you're not gonna dip your finger in there. You use very little, just a little on your finger, and then you go in there and kind of get it all around, just a little bit on your finger. And you don't have to re-Crisco it every time you use it. You probably can get, five out of here. You'll know when it's time to add a little bit more because they won't pop out quite as easy. So just a little bit of Crisco. And if you watch my Tuesday, my in the studio with Stacey from last Tuesday, you will see I forgot to Crisco it and I tried to pull one of the butterflies and it didn't happen. Now the nice thing is you're using a molding, a paper air dry clay, so you just mush it back together again and start all over. It's no waste. If you pull something and it doesn't pull out the way you want it to, you just roll it back up and start all over. Now to make them work, you grab a little bit of clay. And again, it is air dry. A little ball, and you shove it in there. Get it in there really good. You're not going to grab a big ball and shove it in there. You want to be able to push this into that mold really good. And then another ball. and you just start to build up your flower. And another. And as you're pushing it down, it's going to push itself out and start filling in all the spaces. And a little bit more. And as I'm pushing it down, it's filling in all the spaces. Now, I like to do a little divot with my thumb. A little divot, just a little divot, because I go from my thumb and I push out. My thumb and I push out. And that gets rid of all the excess that I don't need. And it just pushes right out the side. No, that looks a little thin there. I might put that little piece right in there. So once you've got that done, it's all about the wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Yes, let's say it together. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You start twisting. You start pulling back. You start wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Oh, did you see that? Do you see how that little finger, see I'm pushing through the bottom? Oh, and it fell out. Now it fell out and it's not so soft that it destroyed my flower. It fell right out, and yet there's my flower and it looks beautiful. So a little piece here, push in, get it really down in there. You really want to make sure you get all the detail. And then a little bit more, and then wipe off the side, and you just put that extra right back in. Wipe off the side, and then it is all about wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Little finger through the bottom, wiggle, 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 and bam. There's my small, well, it's not even my smallest. It's not so frail that if it falls on its, well, you saw that rose fall flat down on the petals and it was fine. Push, 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 push. As you're pushing, it's going to press into the spaces a little bit more. And then a little divot and start pulling out the extra. And the extra just goes right back in. So this is the Prima. And again, it dries a little bit heavier. It's a little denser, but it still air dries. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. And boop. There it is. Okay. Now, that's with the Prima. With the Hardy, same thing. Little ball, push it in, get it in, make sure you've got it all the way in. Getting all that detail. Little pieces at a time. And once you think you've got enough in there, you do your little thumb and then pull to the side. And again, the Hardy can also be put right back. You're not going to waste any of this. Little divot. Ah, Stacey, you pulled. All right, and then wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And release, release, release. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And now I have it in white. And it's a beautiful 3D flower. It really is just lovely. So start with a smaller little ball. Get it down in there. Add more. Add more. Add more. And then take off any that you need. Once you get good at it, you really don't have extra. And then wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Release from the side, release from the bottom. Turn over, and bam. That is how quick and easy these are to do. And yes, you can touch them, you can pick them up, absolutely. So I think for me, the difference between the two is when it comes into the small things. I find that the Prima is a little bit easier when I'm doing something that is a little thinner than the Hardy Soft, but some of the SMS girls had no problem. They like the Hardy Soft on the thinner. I think it's just a matter of preference. So I'm pushing it in, pushing it in, and then wipe away. And everything I wipe away, I'm going to put right back in there. And then wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And there's my leaf. Now, while these are still drying, you can come in and you can fold them into each other. You can fold it up, you can mold it into what shape you want it to be. Get a little, a little cup, a salsa cup from Chipotle, and put it in there so it holds its form. Give it a little bit to dry, and then you can come in and mold them. They are absolutely food safe. They were designed to go for cakes and cupcakes and decoration for food items. But you know a crafter. Crafters are going to look at these and say, oh, what can we do with them? And that's what Katie Sue did. They originally were for, look at how beautiful. I mean, these are just absolutely stunning. And you just go. Now, you can't load up the entire thing and then try to get them out. Because as I'm twisting and pulling and doing my wiggle, 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 I'll be ruining the other leaves. Same with with any of them, you do them one at a time. Now, if I was using the Hardy Soft, pull a little bit of Hardy Soft and kind of press it in there. And a little bit more and press it in there, and then start pulling off the extra and putting it back. Start pulling off with the side of your thumb the extra. And then it's wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Now, I'm not trying to talk to you like you're in romper room. I'm trying to give you a way to remember, a way for me to remember. I got pretty blasted for my chomp, chomp, chomp. But it's how I remember what to do when I'm putting my embossing folders in. Let's do one more. So I'm just trying to give you a way to remember what it is we're supposed to do when you do this. If you're just trying to pull it out, it may not pop out for you. You need to wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. I want all of that extra right back in there. So it really is a personal preference. I mean, I'm doing great with the Hardy Soft on the thin ones. I think it's because I've done about, I don't know, probably 15, 20 leaves now with both of them, and I've got it. So then it comes down to whether you want pure white and a little bit lighter, not as heavy. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. There we go. All right, so we've done a few, and I'm gonna let them sit and dry. They're already able to be, I mean, you can touch them without any problem. Another maybe 10 minutes or so and I could start painting. But I'm just gonna let these sit and dry, because I did make some ahead of time. I have dry time that, you know, we can't wait for 45 minutes or 25 minutes just for these to dry unless I had done them. If I had started with that, they would be ready to go. If I had done that first. Now, how do I paint these? Well, I'm gonna bring over my Van Gogh watercolors. And the two sets that we just launched, the last two sets that we are launching is the Nature, and is it Nature or Natural? Nature and the Violets. They are beautiful. So we did basics and we did muteds and we did vivid and we've done the metallic and interference, which is the set that I absolutely could not live without. After that, after having this set, the other set that I could not live without would be the Nature set. Because this puts together all my greens and my browns and my yellows. I would struggle to put this palette together. I could probably put together a nice palette of my pinks and my purples and my reds, but the Nature colors really were a well thought out palette. And well, these, if you again go back and watch all of the In the Studio with Stacey for March, all I do is work with all the different Van Gogh watercolors. So I've got them here. I need to get them a little wet to bloom them. So I add a little bit of water to some of them. It's at that time you can see what colors you have. Now there's already color in here. I could just wet this and reuse all this color. And there's oodles of beautiful color in here. Look at that, like eggplant. Beautiful. The colors are absolutely gorgeous. And if you use them properly, this will last you forever. I'm not even using a good paintbrush because I'm going to be painting on the paper clay. I don't want to use my nice watercolor brushes. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. and if taken care of, used for a lifetime. Not enough water. So the violets are beautiful. All the sets are beautiful. But wow. And a little goes a really, really long way. So I'm going to start by painting some of my roses. So let's see. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's take the yellow and let's grab one of my roses, and I'm gonna do some red, but I'm gonna get it really watery. So I took a little bit of my paint from my pan, put it in my well. You're not going to scoop, you're going to dab. A little paint goes a really long way. And unless I need to clean this well for something else, I'm gonna let that paint dry in there because I can use it again next time. Now I've got my rose. And I'm literally just gonna come in here and let the water fill in all the nooks and crannies. My paint's just gonna find those little nooks and crannies. And again, I'm not using expensive paint brushes. I'm not using my Fusion paint brushes, my watercolor paint brushes. I'm using inexpensive Crafter's Companion. I want to say they're like $7.99 for 3 brushes. Okay, I'm going to let that sit for just a minute. Now for the purple one, maybe I use some pink. And let's grab another. And again, I'm just letting the water take the paint and fill in all the nooks and crannies. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not being careful. I'm not being gentle. I just want to try and fill in all the little nooks and crannies. And let's let that one dry for a minute. So that one for the purple, and then for the green. For the green, I think I'm going to bring over my nature set. And I'm going to use the yellow out of my nature set. And let's pull another one. And I'll take a little bit of my yellow and put it in a well. and add some water to it, because it doesn't take much. And let's start filling it up. Okay, and I think for my teal, I'm going to take my orange and a little bit of orange, put it in my well, add some water, and just let the water do its thing. Take that paint and fill in all of those little nooks and crannies. All right, so I've got 4 roses going. Now the first 2 I did out of my violet set, so I'm going to bring that set back. And the first one I did was my red. And now I'm going to just go back into that red, maybe a little darker. I'm using a slightly darker red, and I'm just going to hit the tips. I'm not trying to paint everything. Okay, that's good. And with the pink, just gonna hit the tips just a little bit. Just the tips, just at the top, just hitting the top portions of the petals. Okay. Now the next one I did was yellow, and I did that out of the nature set. So I'm going to pick up some more yellow and darken that yellow up. See how fair and light it is? I want it a little darker, so I get some contrast going. And I just want to hit the tops. And I'm not being gentle and I'm not being exact. I'm just letting it go. And then the last one was the orange. So same thing, I'm going to pick up a little more orange, get it in that well, use less water, and come in and just hit the tips. And now I'm going to let them sit. And in the meantime, I'm going to grab some leaves. And I'm going to stick with my nature set. This time I need my greens. So I'm going to hit some of them with my greens. I've got greens, I've got browns, I've got yellows. I'm going to grab a little bit of my green and put it in my well. Add a little bit of water. And I'm going to come in and I'm just going to hit all my leaves. That might be a little yellow. Oh, that's better. I'm not being overly careful. I'm just trying to get some paint down on them. So obviously the thinner the mold, the less dry time it is. I did these a little bit earlier today and they're pretty dry. A little bit more water in there. So jewelry, gosh, just about anything. Wine charms, embellishments. Now I've got them all green. Now I can come back and hit them with a little bit more of a different green if I want. Let's see what this does. Because leaves aren't just one color green. Look at how easy is this. All right, so now I've got my leaves going. And the last thing I'm going to do is bring over my metallics. And I'm going to use my softest gold. And put some in my well. My softest gold. So I'm just kind of rolling my brush in there and moving some of my paint over. Add just a little bit of water to it. And now I'm going to come over the tops again. And I'm going to hit the tops of my petals with this beautiful gold. let that one sit. Right over the tops. And I'm just kissing the tops of the petals with the gold. Just kissing the tops. So they have that little hint of gold going on. Just that little something, see, upside down, that's okay. Just that little something special, and they're completely three-dimensional. A little bit more water. I might even go a little darker gold in this one. You could use the silver, you could use the copper. A little bit of gold. Okay, and my orange. Right over the tops. Oh, that looks so good. I know it's missing my hand. You see all the paint on my hand, but these really are absolutely beautiful. And then I can come in and hit my leaves with just a little bit of gold. I'm just going to use everything that's in that well. Just put a little bit of gold accent on all of them. I could have hit it with a little bit of brown. This orange one came out beautiful. The yellow reminds me of Beauty and the Beast. It's so pretty. It's gilded. It looks lovely. All right. So we've molded, we've painted. I'm going to leave this open for it to dry. And then we need liquid glue. And we can just take our liquid glue. I'm going to use Sizzix liquid glue. Move these out of the side. I'm going to put my leaves down first. So a fair amount of liquid glue. And the Sizzix glue dries clear. My smaller leaf. On top, and then my flower. All the way around. and on top of my leaves. And then I'm going to let it set. So I'm going to let it set. So there's one. I don't know if that one is too high up. This one feels too high up. I think I'm going to add a little more glue. Okay, I'm going to let it set. Right there. And then let's take the purple. And just place them. Oh, you're going to need more on that one. Okay, and let's let it set. They're so easy to do. And then we did the orange one for here. I just love them. I could do these all day long. Oh, look at the time. I would love to make these and put them in a little bag and have them ready to go. And I didn't even do the butterflies. Now I want you there. Orange with the teal is so pretty. And I'm just doing very generic decorating. You guys can go to town. Nope. I mean, really, they're easy and they're beautiful and they're just a little extra touch. Just a little extra touch. The glue is starting to dry. What do you think? We did all of these from start to finish. We did the embossing around the outside with my Fanciful framelits. We did the embossing on the white and then inked in and used the die as the mask. We used the take twos where we can use the die and the shadow, or we can use the embossing element, and in the same die that does the shadow, we'll cut that out. And then we made some beautiful, beautiful air dry clay flowers that are, I think, this is the only one I'm not, yeah, I think I've got enough glue in there. Maybe a little bit underneath, just a little bit. It seems a little light. Okay, I'm gonna let it be and let that glue dry. But it's holding, it's in place. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Oh my gosh, I hope you love them. I love them. I'm very, very happy. But they do have to dry now. So I need to give them some space. Okay, we did a ton of stuff today, and it is super late, and I haven't shown you a single sample yet. What is on sale? Everything. New from Sizzix and me. The second half of my February collection. Remembering that this is the new, the reverse will coordinate with the older. They will work together. 2024, 2025. This one is in the I Want It All bundle. We did not include this one because you may already own it. Here's the new 2025 reversed ovals. Here's 2024. 2025 is in the I Want It All bundle. We did not include 2024 because we thought you might own it. Both of the twofers are in the I Want It All bundle. The Belle of the Ball Rose. The Belle of the Ball 4-layer stencil is in the I Want It All bundle. The Rainy Day is in the I Want It All bundle. And Drip Drip Drop, which has a A5 stamp and a 2-layer stencil all in one, is in the I Want It All bundle. I have got a special on when the I Want It All bundle retails for $184.92, on sale for $137.99, or you just buy the ones that make your heart happy. I don't know which ones make your heart happy. You can just pick the ones that you love, or maybe you pass on all of them and you're all about the clay. Or maybe you're just here for the inspiration and the chit chat. That one's not in the I Want It All bundle. That one is. That one is. And that one. So we have it at a substantial discount. Absolutely, but they're also open stock. We have a deal on the Reveals paper. You get the A4, the A6, and you get, I think, do you get the sanding gadget? I'm trying to remember if you get the sanding gadget or not. Maybe it's these two. Maybe we have a deal on the two, and then we have the sanding gadget at a smoking hot price. It's something like that, but we've got the Reveals paper, the original Jules color, the sanding gadget, sanding tool is on sale. I've got the 3 colors that we used today of the Van Gogh watercolors on sale. I have the Crafter's Companion inexpensive brushes on sale. I have the molds that we used. So the roses and the leaves. We didn't get to the butterflies, but we have them on sale, and we have the cute little haberdashery and all the dad stuff on sale. There's just a ton of product. You pick what makes your heart happy. The Sizzix glue will be on sale. The Prima paper clay will be on sale. The Hardy Soft will be on sale. But let me get to samples because that's where it's all at. Let me get to samples. All right. So we've got the hello little one, using the take twos. I've got the drip, drip, drop, and the little umbrellas are from Rainy Day Feeling, which gives you dies, stamps, and sentiments. It's a creative coordinations, which have become so popular because it's everything you need in one package. Here is the die to Belle of the Ball. Isn't that gorgeous? Here we have thanks. So we've got my Fanciful Framelits in reverse, and then thanks, the die cut out, as opposed to thanks, the embossing element. Here we have Rainy Day Feeling. Now, all of these little pieces are individual, so you can stamp where you want grass, where you want trees. You can just use the splats as splats. You can have the people, you don't have to have the people. You can turn the grass into clouds. It's everything in one set, and the dies to cut the little trees. It's just an amazing little set. Here we have my Fanciful Framelits in reverse with the hello. And drip, drip, drop with the hello. So here's the stamp and the 2-layer stencil to get that perfect coloring. And then the take two hello. Here we have Belle of the Ball, the 4-layer stencil, and then the die is done in the black to really, really define it out and not have it as abstract when you are just using the stencil. That's the 4-layer stencil. And then the die for Belle of the Ball. Here we have big thanks. So you've got a Fanciful Framelit, and then you've got the big thanks. So here we see, you can see these are just splats. We used splats to make the trees. You can use the splats anywhere. Here's the grass, but then we reversed it to make clouds. Here's Belle of the Ball in metallics with drip, drip, drop coming down. And here we used our reverse Fanciful Framelits to make apertures. Each one of these is an aperture leading down to your sentiment. And here you have thanks a lot, thanks a bunch, thanks a million, thanks so much. So the different ways that you can use the thanks. And again, Belle of the Ball, you've got the 4-layer stencil behind it, and then the die over the top. It's very artistic. It's a little, my dies tend to be a little bit more sophisticated and a little bit more foundational, something that you can use all the time, something that is non-theme specific. So hello, 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 hello. And then we have thanks, thanks, thanks a bunch. Again, drip, drip, drop, and they took the umbrella from Rainy Day Feeling. And another drip, drip, drop. And thanks with rolled flowers. Hello Sunshine, done with my Fanciful Framelits in reverse. And the SMS girls did all of these. The honorary SMS girls, all of them. Here's the flower, here's Belle of the Ball, just with the stencil. Just very artsy, and then here it is with the stencil and the die. Here's Hello. So take twos, here's Fanciful Framelit, and then drip, drip, drop, just the stencil, not the stamp, because you get a 2-layer stencil and an A5 stamp in that drip, drip, drop set. And you can use the stencils on their own, you can use the stamp on their own, or you can pair them together. Big thanks. Here's where drip, drip, drop has been paired. You've got the 2-layer stencil and the stamp going on here. This one, next one is so lovely. This is Rainy Day Feeling. This is what you can do. You've got everything in there to make this. The people, the trees, the 2 sizes of the trees, the clouds, the grass, everything, and the sentiments are all in that set. I love Rainy Day Feeling. It might be one of my more favorites. I love this set. I just love what you can do with it. Here we have Belle of the Ball, just a portion of it, and Belle of the Ball in its entirety, both using that 4-layer stencil to give that depth and definition to really make it look like art. But it's a stencil and a die, and you can do this. Look at how cute. Gosh, is that darling, with the umbrellas from Rainy Day Feeling. Hello from the Take Twos. And here you have drip, drip, drop, just the stencil mixed with Rainy Day Feeling. And here we have, again, Belle of the Ball. And then I did these in my, it moved. How could it move? Oh, it moved. Well, we're gonna have to put it back where it was. There we go. I did these in my In the Studio with Stacey on Tuesday with the florals. And last but not least, just to give you an idea. So here is the nesting dies from the reverse. So Fanciful Framelits in reverse. But if you had both sets, this is how they would nest. If you had both sets, this is how they would frame. Here's the embossing element from the oval Fanciful Framelit in reverse. So you've got embossing and then the die and embossed, die and embossed. But if you had both sets, you would do embossing, you would have all the embossing layers and all the dies that nest. And look at all the frames. Oh, so maybe this is the frame. Wait a minute. These must be the frame. These must be the frame on the reverse alone, because here they are if you have both sets. And of course they foil. The embossing element will always foil if you have a foiling machine. So that's using Claire's Classic Ovals from 2024 and Claire's Classic Ovals in the reverse for 2025. So here's the set in reverse. Here's the set in reverse as frames. But here's the set if you have both. If you have 2024 and 2025. Here's the embossing and die cut with the reverse. Here they are as frames in the reverse. But if you have both sets, then you get to mix and match. Look at all the frames you can do, and each set has their own embossing element. And of course, they foil. So, told you we did a lot. I told you this was a jam-packed class. Where did I put my other one? Oh, I don't know where I put it. Oh, right there. All right, I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. I hope that there was something here that made you go, I did not know that. Or, that's very interesting. Or, I knew that, but why don't I ever do that? Or, I can do that. Yes, you can. Really, you can. Honestly, if I can, you can. I am not a trained anything. I am a maker. That's what I do. I sit and I play. That's what now it's like 2 o'clock in the morning here, but I sit and I play, and what happens, happens. And I always think that something's harder than it really is until I crack the code and do it myself and figure it out. So grab your stuff and get crafty. Now is a great time, even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning. All right, you guys, it's me, Stacey. Scrapbooking Made Simple, scrapbookingmadesimple.com. This was our Saturday with Stacey YouTube class 598. Where are you gonna get all of this product? Well, the Sizzix you can find globally. The molds might be a little bit more of a challenge to find from Katie Sue. The paints from Royal Towns, the watercolors, more fine art store than anything else. We have them, of course, we have all of this, but if you have a fine art store, see if they've got the Royal Towns Van Gogh watercolors. If you have a independent retailer, see if they have the Stacey Park Sizzix, absolutely. Some of the other stuff you should be able to find here and there, but of course, if you can't, Scrapbooking Made Simple, scrapbookingmadesimple.com. Our retail store is open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and online never closes. So thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for getting through all of this with me. I hope you love what we did. I'm so happy with all of it. All right, I've got to go load this video so at 8 a.m. sunny California time, we can live chat. Until then, again, it's me, Stacey, Scrapbooking Made Simple, scrapbookingmadesimple.com. Wahoo kachoo. Good night, everybody. Well, good morning, good afternoon. Bye, everybody.